Hello and Happy New Year to you. Welcome to our weekly program, The Gavel. I am Benny Ark. In this episode, we speak with Senator Uzor Kalu, and he tells us about his contemplation on the 2024 budget recently passed. Take a look.
The budget we have just passed look very ambitious but achievable if both the executive, the legislatures will cooperate to achieve to this budget, because going on deficit always is not, in my opinion, is the best thing to do as of the period we are, because you cannot close government, you must run government. People are crying, the deficit is very huge. But when there is no money, when the economy is not doing well all over the world, whether it's in depression, whether it's a recession, whether it's slowing down, what you need is more borrowing. So the government, in my minority opinion, is in the right direction, because they have to borrow to keep the wheels of government running. You cannot stop. It's like the personal enterprise. You can never stop. If you stop, you hurt yourself very well.
So you think, because some people think that even the Senate committee chairman, Senator Adiola Olamilekan, also attested to the fact that this budget was sort of done in a hurry. Maybe they didn't have enough time to do a thorough job, and then he had sort of advised the federal government to always, maintain, an early passage or presentation of the budget.
Yes, I'm also a member of that committee preparation, and I feel that we have just done this because we don't want to quarrel with the executive, and there's no need. You can see, most of us in the appropriation committee did not go home. I've not gone to my village. So I've been here all Christmas, all New Year. We've been coming to the office, running on the budget and so forth. And the executive is supposed to be sending this budget to the National Assembly at least by 5th of October. So we'll have time to do budget hearings, scrutinize the budget, because the appropriation bill is the best bill while I'm here. The best bill to handle in the National Assembly is the appropriation bill. So it must be thoroughly examined, it must be done very well, it must not in a hurry. So Adiola was right, Solomon Adiola was right, because we are all crying. None of us have slept for almost 7 days. So this is the price we have to pay for the nation.
There's definitely going to be a review of the budget maybe in the next quarter, is there?
Yes, because the budget have to be reviewed depending on what the executive wants. That the National Assembly will monitor the budget performance, and from time to time I review the budget.
What's your feel about how the 10th Assembly functions at the moment? Do you have any?
No, I'm not going to talk about 10th Assembly, because we're all brothers and sisters. But I want the 10th Assembly to continue improving. There's a room for everybody to improve. So I'm not going to specifically talk about them, because it's not be very good to talk about 10th Assembly and the 9th Assembly. So I believe we are learning. It's a learning process. Everybody's on it. But we are doing well for now.
You see, with the exchange rate, the newly adopted exchange rate of about 800 to a dollar, and then we have inflation, also spiking or trying to control many of these indices that are not really favorable to the Nigerian economy. We all know how the impact, is how it's impacting on the Nigerian people. Also, Constituency is part of it. What drastic measure do you want to adopt to help the youths?
Well, I don't have, because I'm not in the executive, I'm a lawmaker. The measures I will do is the laws we make here to help the executive to be able to come out of it. So I'm proposing a repatriation of currency bill that I'm going to present to the Senate very soon. So people that have money abroad will repatriate it back and use it for the development of our nation and the communities. And again, the communities in our area are focusing more on agriculture. So we are making plans on how to secure agri-credit loans and etc. that will help to be able to help them to come up with it. So I sincerely believe that my constituency and other constituencies of the Federal Republic will benefit a lot with what we are going to do, if it's not in this budget, but in the next budget. The attention of the youth are being paid, because I'm going to focus now from the next budget to build youth successful enterprise like soccer pitch, academy, and etc. that will train our youths and send them to school, make sure they go to school and they play football. Because it's a big business. But I must make sure that in these academies they will be able to obtain school certificate or NECO or something while in academy, so they can further to their tertiary institution. So we're going to do academy where we can turn out about 200 to 300 people every year. So they go there, they learn from age of 8, they study and they play football until they mature. So I'm thinking loud, because we cannot just continue building roads. Also, the roads you build today, in the next few years, you also need to maintain it. So these are the issues. What is killing us is lack of maintenance. People just build something, they don't maintain it. It's like a personal house. If in some personal house, you see people spend a lot of money building their houses, but they don't maintain it. It's difficult to maintain the houses they have built.
The Senate on Saturday approved the securitization of the outstanding debit balance of 7.3 trillion naira of the Ways and Means advance in the Consolidated Revenue Fund, CFR, of the federal government. The Senate President, Godswill announced the approval after a majority of the lawmakers supported it through a voice vote during plenary. Let's check it out.
During Saturday's plenary session in the Senate, President Bola Tinubu's letter requesting for the securitization of the outstanding 7.3 trillion naira Ways and Means was read by the Senate President.
Request for the securitization of the debit balance Ways and Means in the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federal Government of Nigeria. I write to draw the attention of the Senate to the provisions of Section 38 of the Subsisting Central Bank of Nigeria CBN's Act 2007, which stipulates that the Apex Bank may grant temporary advances to the federal government in respect of temporary deficiency of budget revenue, provided such overdrafts do not surpass 5% of the government's revenue from the previous year. The Senate is invited to note that from available information by the CBN, the Consolidated Revenue Funds, CRF, account of the Federal Government of Nigeria, FGN, stood at 7.3 trillion as at December 11, 2023, largely due to domestic debt servicing, principal and interest. While the federal government is considering various measures to forestall the use of Ways and Means advances for domestic debt servicing, it has become highly imperative to securitize the outstanding Ways and Means advance to the federal government of Nigeria before the end of the year 2023. The securitization of the Ways and Means will lead to the realization of the following benefits amongst others. 1, reduction of debt service costs, as the interest rate for the securitized Ways and Means advances is lower at 9% per annum compared to MPR, which is plus 3%. The savings arising from the much lower interest rate could help to reduce the deficit in the budget.
The upper chamber then delved into the debate on the recent killings in Plateau State, raising the need for a national security summit.
In Plateau State, because of several crises, we have proliferation of outfits. We have the creation of Operation Safe Haven, all funded by the state government. We have the Operation Rainbow, funded by state government. That is increase in the capacity. Of recent, we created the Kerang Rescue, which is an Air Force base with helicopters. The issue of Mangu, many people were killed around Kerang. Where was the Air Force? Where are the helicopters? Today, sir, we discussed about Tucano jets. We are told that Tucano jets are not available. We discussed about drones. The drones are available. My spirit is that we must first of all deal with the criminals, because before we come back to deal with the internal situation. Yes, like every society, we have conflicts. We have religious conflicts and differences. We have ethnic conflicts and differences. But when a dimension like this comes into effect, it calls the attention of Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because the killings that were done in systematic manner. But as we move in, I don't think that the role of the military is always to employ kinetic. We discussed that in Kaduna, and we came to resolution that as much as we go into kinetic, we must also dwell on non-kinetic methods in settling disputes in these various states.
What was discovered, that these marauding bandits are not moving with weapons. Those weapons were actually domiciled in some certain locations. All they do is to come and pick them. That means there's something behind what is happening in Plateau. Who are these people? Who are these people and why are they doing it? Because you go there, sir, from the outside, you thought it's a religious war. None of it. There's something behind it that this Senate must need to unearth. It's a very terrible phenomenon, Mr. Senate President. We have forgotten our humanity. The carnage you've seen, small arguments, small differences. People will kill people in their thousands, in their dozens, and it doesn't touch their conscience.
I just want to add that to show the seriousness of these hallowed chambers, under your leadership, that we summon the Chief of Army Staff and the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Air Staff and the IGP to tell us why we should not hold them responsible for these killings. If somebody spent 3 days in Plateau and he had the kind of information that Senator Nigi shared with us, and every other person, it shows that there was proper planning. You can't carry out that level of planning in secret and it doesn't leak. If civilians are aware, how come that those who are paid to secure are not aware?
The lawmakers also observed a minute's silence in honor of the victims.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Gavel. In what seems like a determination to keep to the January to December budget cycle, federal lawmakers convened a plenary session on Saturday, 30 December 2023 to pass the 2024 budget. Here is the report.
Federal lawmakers convened an unusual plenary session on Saturday, December 30, 2023, to pass the 2024 budget in their determination to keep to the January to December budget cycle. The reports of the Committees of Appropriation in the Senate and the House of Representatives were received. The breakdown of the report shows that 1.7 trillion naira is for statutory transfers, 8.27 trillion naira is for debt service, 8.7 trillion naira is for recurrent expenditure, and 9.9 trillion naira is earmarked for capital expenditure.
The ayes have it.
The budget is then passed after the report of the committees are considered.
Government-owned enterprises, Part H, GOE's revenue net of operating surplus as recommended. Schedules, the total schedules as recommended. Part J, statutory transfers. Statutory transfers in total as recommended.
That the House, in the Committee of the Supply, considered the report of the Committee on Appropriation on a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund from the Federation, the total sum of 28,777,404,073,861 naira, only of which 1,742,786,788,150 naira only is for statutory transfers. 8,270,960,606,831 naira only is for debt service. 8,768,513,380,852 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure.
Outside the chamber, lawmakers speak on the implementation of the budget.
The MDS, instead of them to swing into action immediately the budget is signed by Mr. President, they wait until the funds is released, and this is a wrong approach. So as a committee, I'm giving kind of advice and instruction to all the MDS in the country that they shouldn't wait for the funds to be released. Immediately the president signs this budget, which I believe any moment from now is going to be signed. What we expect from them as committee on public procurement is for them to start what we call a procurement plan.
We work day and night to pass this budget, which today we're able to pass it. And the issue of implementation, you know, we had procurement process. That process is a little bit delaying the implementation of the budget. But we had discussion with the Bureau of Public Procurement how to fast track that process. So I assure you that the implementation will start as soon as possible, immediately after the president sent the budget.
What is going to happen is that there's going to be SS screwed, and just like you see in the appropriation document, the accountant general is going to open a dedicated account where the money that is going to come in from the SS screwed is going to be deposited. But one fantastic thing they did was to adjust the exchange rate with realities that is on the ground from 750 to 800, which now gave us more funds, and those funds were committed to the new project that the president sent in to be able to take care of challenges that need to be dealt with. But the beautiful thing about this, for the first time, we didn't have any back and forth with the budget process in terms of, much visible changes. We worked in line with the vision of the executive because we strongly believe that the president have the best intention in solving critical national problems, and that was why I didn't see much of changes or environment or movements of some of the project that was expected. And that is why you're going to see the president is going to sign it very fast, because it's almost 80% of what he projected to the parliament. And I'm very confident in terms of implementation, because you can see increment in revenue. As of last year, when Buhari was here, revenues were about 11 trillion or thereabout. But within a space of 7 months, revenues are about over 18 trillion. And if you look at what the chairman of appropriations said, the government business entities said they can even bring in more 1 trillion into the course of government. So if we're going to have much revenues coming in, then there will not be much problem with capital releases. That means there's going to be enhanced implementation of the 2024 budget. So we must salute the good work Honorable Bichi and the appropriation committee have done.
The National Assembly has also increased the estimate submitted by the president by 1.2 trillion naira.
Today on Constituency Focus, we speak with Honorable Kabiru Amadu, representing Gusau Safe Constituency, Zamfara State. He expressly conveyed his plans for his people.
As you know, this is my second time as a member House of Reps. I was here in the last assembly, that's 9th assembly, and God with glory, make it for me again for the 10th Assembly. All that matters to my people is sound representation, which has to do with issue of insecurity that we have at hand. How can we be able to help our people to find a lasting peace in our state? Issue of education, employment, food security is part of my target and my plan. And within these 6 months, I did a lot. I presented a lot of motions that has to do with the issue of insecurity in the states. I did a lot of empowerment program, a solar program. I also provide scholarship to almost 500 students of my constituents, which is part of my educational support to my people. So in general, like I said, in general, my aim and the target is to give my people the best representation that I can. I believe they know what I did last time. That's the reason why they gave me this second chance again to go back. So far, within these 6 months, like I said in the first place, I presented almost 6 to 7 motions. So almost 4 of them, the issue is they have to do with the issue of insecurity in the states. I presented one that has to do with the issue of curriculum of our tertiary institutions, how a federal government can be able to look into the issue of our curriculum so that we can be able to find the new curriculum that will enhance our graduates. Also, I presented another motion that has to do with the issue of investigation about the violation of Procurement Act 2007 by some of the contract that was awarded by the CBN. So I think this is part of what I achieved so far.
That's our time on the program this week, and we would love to hear from you. Send us an email at thegavel@channelstv.com. Until the Gavel comes your way next week, same time, here is wishing you and yours a Happy New Year. I am Benny Ark. Be well. Bye.